Lena Ward never thought she would become the center of attention on the frontier world of Arca 7. She had chosen to work far from the busy human colonies because she liked quiet places, open sky, and simple work. As a young xenobiologist, she spent most of her days studying local wildlife, collecting samples, or writing notes in her tablet. She enjoyed the calm routine, but lately, nothing felt calm at all. The strange behavior started a few months after she arrived. First, it was small things. A few alien traders in the market would stop talking when she walked by, turning their eyes away from her. Others would leave a path open for her even when the area was crowded. She thought it was only a misunderstanding or maybe a cultural habit. But the longer she stayed, the more intense it became. Then came the dragons. Most humans on Arca 7 talked about the Varan dragons as if they were legends. They were huge, strong, and proud beings with wings like metal and scales that shimmered in different colors. Even the bravest soldiers kept their distance from them. No one ever expected the dragons to avoid someone, especially a single human. But that was exactly what happened. Lena noticed it first when she saw a group of dragons near the landing fields. They were speaking to the station guards about a mineral shipment. When she walked close to the area, one dragon froze. Its wings twitched, and its eyes widened. The others quickly turned to look at her. Then they stepped back. 3 powerful dragons, each twice her height, moved away from her as if she were dangerous, like she carried something they could not face. Lena's heart jumped. She had never felt fear from others before, especially not from giant creatures known for their courage. She tried to greet them politely, but one dragon quickly bowed his head and muttered something in his own language. Another whispered, "It is her." She did not understand what that meant, and no one explained it. The rumors spread fast after that. Some humans whispered that Lena must have special abilities she was hiding. Others said the dragons saw something around her that humans could not see. A few joked that she must have insulted a dragon ancestor in a past life. Lena did not know what to think. Captain Aaron Blake, the commander of the human outpost, called her into his office one evening. He was usually calm and steady, but that night he looked troubled. He told her about the reports his team had collected. Different alien groups had shown unusual respect or fear toward her without explanation. Even the most stubborn traders refused to argue with her or raise their voice near her. "I do not want to alarm you, Lena," he said in a soft voice. "But something is happening, and it is not normal. The Varan dragons do not fear anyone, but they fear you." Lena shook her head. She could not imagine why. She was a normal human with a normal job. She had no weapons, no training, nothing special about her. But deep inside, there was a small doubt. Tiny memory, something she had pushed far back into her mind. Her grandmother, Evelyn Ward, was the strongest person Lena had ever known. She raised Lena after her parents passed away, teaching her everything she knew about survival, learning, and discipline. But Evelyn also had secrets. She would sometimes tell Lena strange stories about distant worlds and old battles. She taught her symbols and patterns that did not belong to any human culture. She even trained her in ways to sense danger without looking. When Lena was a child, she thought these lessons were games. Then, one day, her grandmother disappeared without warning. No message, no clue, no goodbye. Lena never saw her again. The memory always made her chest tighten, but she pushed it away. Whatever her grandmother had done before, it had nothing to do with dragons or alien fear. At least that was what she believed. One evening, Lena walked across the outpost courtyard, trying to clear her thoughts. The sky above Arca 7 was a soft purple color, filled with bright lines of moving satellites. She sat on a bench near the observation deck, hoping the quiet would calm her mind. But the quiet did not last. She heard the sound of wings behind her, heavy, slow, and powerful. She turned and saw a single Varan dragon standing a few steps away. His scales were dark green, and his eyes glowed faintly. He kept a respectful distance, almost too respectful. "You are Lena Ward," the dragon said in a deep voice. "Yes," Lena answered carefully. "We know your bloodline," he said. Her heart skipped. "What does that mean?" she asked. But the dragon only bowed his head and replied, "You will understand soon. The reason we fear you is not you. It is the one who came before you." Lena felt a chill in her spine. She tried to ask more questions, but the dragon spread his wings and flew away, leaving her alone on the deck. And for the first time, Lena realized something. This was not a mistake. The dragons were not confused. They truly feared her. And whatever the reason was, it was connected to her grandmother in a way she did not yet understand. The next morning on Arca, 7 felt heavier than usual. The air was warm, the sky was clear, and the outpost looked calm from the outside, but everyone inside seemed tense. Lena Ward noticed it the moment she stepped out of her small quarters. People whispered, walked faster than normal, and kept checking the scanners as if they were waiting for something dangerous. She assumed there had been another warning from the nearby Rakan raiders, but when she reached the main corridor, she realized the truth. A crowd had gathered near the landing platform, staring toward the sky. Some soldiers stood ready with weapons, though their hands shook slightly. Lena followed their gaze. 3 large shapes moved across the sky, wings spread wide like giant shadows floating above the sun. The Varan dragons were coming. They were flying directly toward the human outpost. Lena stopped walking. Her stomach tightened. She had seen dragons before, but never this close, and never coming with such purpose. The sound of their wings echoed through the air, deep and powerful. Captain Aaron Blake appeared at her side. "They requested permission to land," he said quietly. "Why here?" Lena asked. "They want to speak to you," he replied. Lena felt her throat tighten. She did not think she had done anything important, yet these creatures, feared across several star systems, were coming for her. As the dragons landed, the ground shook. Dust rose in the air. The wings folded slowly, like giant metallic curtains. Their scales glowed under the sun, shimmering in green, gold, and deep red. The humans stepped back without being told. The largest dragon moved forward. He had bronze scales, sharp eyes, and a long scar across his left wing. Lena had never seen him before, but she could feel something strange in the air around him. Felt like pressure, but not painful. More like the weight of attention. "Lena Ward," the dragon said. His voice was deep and echoed as if he spoke through stone. Lena swallowed and stepped forward. "Yes, I am Lena. May I ask why you are here?" The dragon studied her quietly before answering. "We sensed your presence. We sensed your bloodline. We needed to confirm it." His voice softened slightly. "You look like her." "Like who?" Lena asked, though she already had a guess. "The one who carried the Starbreaker mark," the dragon said. Lena had never heard that name before. She opened her mouth to ask, but the dragon continued speaking. "We come with respect," he said, "but also caution. Your grandmother once changed the fate of our kind. Her power, her choices, shaped our history." Captain Blake stepped closer, ready to protect Lena if needed. "Her grandmother was a normal human," he said firmly. The dragons looked at him with calm, almost pitying eyes. "If she were normal," the bronze dragon replied, "our worlds would have burned." Lena felt a sharp chill run through her chest. She tried to understand the weight of those words, but they felt too heavy. The second dragon stepped forward. This one had blue scales, smoother than the others. She lowered her head politely. "We do not come to cause fear. We come because the balance of our worlds depends on understanding her." "Me?" Lena asked. "Yes," the blue dragon answered. "You carry the shadow of Evelyn Ward. Her strength does not disappear with death." Lena's breath caught. Hearing her grandmother's name spoken by dragons felt unreal. "I do not have any power," Lena said quietly. "I am not like her." "Your denial is expected," the bronze dragon said. She denied herself too, until the moment she could not. Lena looked down at her hands. They looked normal. She felt normal. She had lived a normal life. None of this made sense. Captain Blake stepped between her and the dragons. "What do you want from her?" The dragons looked at each other for a moment. Finally, the bronze one said, We seek truth. We seek confirmation. We seek peace between us and the bloodline of the Starbreaker. I do not know what you are talking about, Lena said, her voice trembling slightly. My grandmother never told me anything like this. She tried to protect you, the blue dragon said softly. But secrets do not last forever. The smallest dragon approached next. He had dark red scales and quieter steps than the others. He examined Lena closely but did not look afraid. Instead, his eyes held something like sadness. We have waited many years, he said. We feared this moment. We hoped it would not come. Why? Lena whispered. Because if you carry her strength, the red dragon replied, then a storm is coming, and we must prepare. Lena felt her heart race. She wanted to run, hide, or wake up from a nightmare. But she stayed still. The dragons straightened their wings. The bronze one spoke again. We will return soon. There is more to discuss. But for now, know this, you are not in danger from us. He leaned down slightly, lowering his voice. We fear you because we remember her. We remember what she was capable of. Lena stepped back, shaken. Captain Blake put a hand on her shoulder to steady her. The dragons spread their wings, lifting into the sky with a powerful wind that pushed dust across the platform. They rose higher and higher until they disappeared beyond the clouds. Lena stood there, staring up at the empty sky, feeling a mix of fear, confusion, and something else she did not like to admit. Something that felt like destiny shifting under her feet. And for the first time since arriving on Arca 7, she truly felt that her grandmother's shadow had followed her here. Lena Ward spent the rest of the day trying to quiet her thoughts, but nothing worked. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the dragons' faces, their careful movements, their strange caution. She heard their words again and again. They spoke about her grandmother as if she had been more than human, as if she had changed the fate of whole species, as if she had been powerful enough to terrify dragons. Lena could not accept it. She did not want to accept it, but the questions kept growing. That evening, Captain Aaron Blake found her sitting alone in the research lab. The lights were dim, and she had not touched any of her equipment. She stared at the old notebook she kept hidden in a drawer. It was the only thing she had left from Evelyn Ward. You did not answer your comm, the captain said gently. I did not hear it, Lena replied, though she knew she had simply ignored it. The captain sat across from her. I know this is difficult, but we need to understand what is happening. If these dragons fear you because of something your grandmother did, then we have to figure out what that was. It may affect the entire outpost. Maybe more. Lena opened the notebook slowly. The pages were filled with Evelyn's handwriting, neat, sharp, and full of strange diagrams, symbols that did not belong to any human language, maps of places that were not on star charts, notes about energy patterns and battles that Lena assumed had been stories. She never explained any of this, Lena whispered. I thought she was telling me old tales to make the days less lonely. The captain leaned closer. Do you think she hid something from you? Lena hesitated. She always felt like she came from another world. She trained me in ways I never understood. She made me learn how to sense danger before seeing it. She taught me to draw symbols that glowed when she touched them. But I thought it was only a trick. Something she learned during her travels. Lena, the captain said carefully, did she ever mention dragons? No, Lena said. But she talked about shadows, wars, and things she said humans were not ready to know. It sounded like legend. But now I don't know. She closed her eyes for a moment. Memories began to rise. Ones she had not thought about in years. She remembered Evelyn sitting with her near a campfire on a remote planet, telling her, "You will carry my mark someday, whether you want it or not." She remembered Evelyn showing her a glowing symbol that appeared on her own arm, disappearing a moment later. She remembered Evelyn fighting off a creature Lena had never seen again, moving with speed and strength no human should have. She was different, Lena said quietly. I just didn't want to see it. Captain Blake kept his voice calm. If your grandmother was involved in some kind of ancient conflict with the dragons, She may have left clues for you. Maybe that notebook has answers. Lena traced her fingers over the old pages. Some sections were written in plain English. Others were in a script she had never been able to understand. She had tried so many times when she was younger, but Evelyn always stopped her. Some knowledge must wait for the right moment, Evelyn had said. Lena opened one page to a sketch of a large creature with wings and scaled armor. The drawing looked almost identical to the Varan dragons. She knew them, Lena whispered. She knew them long before I was born. She turned more pages, finding notes about the Starbreaker, a title that made her chest tighten. The word appeared next to Evelyn's name several times. In other pages, the symbol she remembered from childhood appeared again and again. Do you think she fought them? The captain asked. I don't know, Lena said. But she was not afraid of anything. If she believed something was wrong, she would have done something about it. Even if the enemy was a dragon. The room fell quiet. Lena looked up. But why did she disappear? Why leave me without answers? The captain did not have an answer. Lena closed the notebook. I need to find out what she was involved in. Whatever she did, whatever she was. I need to know. It's affecting my life now. The dragons believe I am like her. But I'm not. I don't have strength or power or anything she had. I'm just me. They may be wrong about your abilities, the captain said. But they are not wrong about your bloodline. Your grandmother mattered to them, for better or worse. Lena looked toward the window. The sky was growing dark, lit only by the lights of satellites and distant ships. The world felt too big suddenly, too full of hidden truths. I want to know who she really was, Lena said softly, and why dragons tremble at her name. She pushed her notebook into a bag and stood up. I'm going to the archives. If there's anything recorded about the dragon's history with humans, it might be there. Maybe someone knew her. Maybe there are records she tried to hide. I have to try. Captain Blake nodded. I'll come with you. You should not do this alone. Lena felt a small comfort in his presence. She took a deep breath and stepped out of the lab, the notebook pressed close to her side. As they walked down the hallway, she could not shake the feeling that something had shifted. Not in the outpost or the dragons. Inside herself. As if the shadow of her grandmother had finally started to wake. Lena Ward walked into the archives with Captain Aaron Blake beside her. The room was quiet and cool, filled with shelves of old data tablets, holographic projectors, and dusty storage units that hardly anyone used anymore. Most of the outpost crew relied on modern databases or direct AI access, but Lena knew Evelyn Ward had never trusted easy answers. If her grandmother left something behind, it would be hidden in places people rarely searched. The lights flickered softly as they entered. Captain Blake checked the corners of the room, making sure they were alone. You think we'll find something here? He asked. Maybe, Lena said. If my grandmother was involved with dragons, someone must have known. Not everything makes it into public history, but sometimes small notes or personal reports end up in places like this. She walked to the oldest section of the archive, where the devices were older than she was. She picked up a thin gray tablet labeled with the year Evelyn disappeared. The tablet activated with a dim glow. This file is restricted, Lena said, confused. Restricted by who? The captain asked. Lena frowned. It says, locked by authority code EU01. She froze. EW. Evelyn Ward. Captain Blake raised an eyebrow. Your grandmother locked a file in the human archives? Lena entered a few test codes, but nothing worked. She tried a simple sequence, her birthday. The lock clicked open. She left it for you, the captain said. Lena opened the file. An old hologram flickered to life. It showed Evelyn, younger, stronger, standing in a place Lena didn't recognize. Behind her were broken structures, burned ground, and strange metal fragments. The recording began to play. This is Evelyn Ward, the hologram said. Her voice was steady, calm, and sharper than Lena remembered. If you are watching this, then the balance has shifted again. I hoped it would not happen in your lifetime, Lena, but life rarely listens to hope. Lena felt her chest tighten. Evelyn continued, "The Varan dragons are not our enemies. I fought them once, yes, but not because they threatened humanity. Their warlord at that time was corrupted by an energy from the Shadow Rift. If he had not been stopped, he would have destroyed not just their worlds, but ours as well." The image changed to show a giant dragon with dark cracks across his scales, almost glowing with dangerous light. "That was the Shadow Warlord," Evelyn said. "He fell into madness, and I was forced to end him. It was not victory, it was survival." Lena felt her breath catch. Dragons spoke about this event with fear, but seeing it was different. Evelyn fought something powerful enough to destroy both species. "After the war, the dragons named me Starbreaker," Evelyn said. "Not because I broke stars, but because I stopped the one who tried to break them." Captain Blake whispered, "Your grandmother was a legend, and we never knew." "But why hide it?" Lena asked softly. The hologram continued, "Lena, if you are old enough to access this, then the dragons have sensed your presence. They will come to confirm your identity. They may fear you, but not because you threaten them. They fear the return of what we fought long ago." Lena's hands trembled as she watched. "The Shadow Rift may open again," Evelyn said. "And if it does, someone with my blood will be needed. I am sorry that this burden may fall to you. I wanted to protect you from it, but destiny does not care about protection." Lena closed her eyes. Her heart felt heavy. The hologram flickered. "You will feel the mark one day," Evelyn said. "It will awaken when danger is near. When it does, trust yourself. Trust your instincts. They are mine too." Then the hologram ended. Silence filled the archives. Captain Blake was the first to speak. "So the dragons weren't lying. She really did defeat their warlord. And she saved their worlds." Lena sat down slowly on a nearby bench. Her mind spun. She had lived her whole life thinking her grandmother was simply strong, maybe unusual, maybe a little strange, but still human. Now she knew Evelyn Ward had been part of a war that shaped whole species. Dragons trembled at her memory not because she was cruel, but because she was powerful enough to stop something they could not. "I don't want this," Lena whispered. "I never wanted anything like this. I just wanted a normal life." "You're still you," the captain said gently. "Nothing changes that. But now you know the truth." Lena looked at the tablet again. The image of the Shadow Warlord burned in her mind. "The dragons believe I could be like her," Lena said. "But I don't feel special. I don't feel powerful." "Maybe power doesn't appear until the moment it's needed," the captain said. Lena didn't respond. Instead, she stared down at her hands, wishing she could wash away the truth she had learned. Because now she knew the real reason dragons feared her. Not because of who she was, but because of what her grandmother had done. And because of what might be coming next. The streets of the outpost were quiet when dawn rose, yet a strange tension floated in the air. Alex walked with steady steps, though inside his mind felt crowded with questions he could not push away. The more he learned about Mara's grandmother, the more he understood that their mission was not simple defense or survival. Something older and deeper lived beneath every choice they made. Mara stayed close beside him, not speaking much. Her eyes kept drifting to the horizon, where the mountains formed a jagged line against the pale sky. Alex knew she was thinking about the dragon they had seen the night before. The creature had not attacked. It had only watched Mara, its glowing eyes filled with fear and something like longing. That moment replayed itself in his mind, raising new questions that felt too heavy. They reached the command tent where the others waited. Captain Lewis stood over a table covered with maps and old records. A few officers worked quietly in the back, their faces tense. The entire camp had heard rumors about the dragon sighting, and whispers moved from soldier to soldier faster than anyone could stop. When the two entered, Lewis looked up and motioned them closer. His voice was calm, but Alex could hear the edge underneath. "We found something," Lewis said. "Something connected to Mara's grandmother." Mara stiffened, her hands curling into fists. "What is it?" Lewis handed her a datapad. The screen showed a scan from deep beneath the mountain range. Hidden inside the rock was a strange structure, shaped like a spiral and resting at impossible angles. This was discovered during a seismic scan last night, Lewis said. We compared it to old exploration logs. The last person to mark this area was your grandmother. Mara stared at the spiraling image for a long time. Alex watched her face, trying to guess her thoughts. A part of him wanted to say something comforting, but he knew that words would only fall short. So she found this first, Mara said quietly, and she kept it secret all these years. Not exactly secret, Lewis replied. Just buried in research no one followed. We don't know what it is yet, but whatever happened between her and the dragons started there. Alex felt a chill move down his spine. The dragons knew something. They had feared Mara's grandmother for a reason, and that reason was now sitting in the middle of a mountain waiting to be uncovered. Mara turned away from the screen. We need to go there. Lewis hesitated. It could be dangerous. We don't know what the dragons will do. They are already watching us, Mara said. If we wait, they will make their move first. Alex nodded. She's right. We can't defend what we don't understand. Lewis sighed and finally gave the order. A small team would accompany Mara and Alex to the site. They would enter the mountain, explore the structure, and bring back anything that could explain the ancient conflict. The journey began just after noon. The team traveled across rocky ground, moving quietly through the narrow paths leading up the mountain. The sky darkened as clouds gathered overhead, casting deep shadows across the cliffs. Alex kept his hand on his rifle, though he prayed he would not need it. Every few minutes he glanced toward Mara. She walked with her jaw set and her eyes fixed forward. He understood she was searching for answers not only for their mission, but for herself. When they reached the entrance, a narrow crack between two massive slabs of stone, they stopped to prepare lights and equipment. The air that drifted from the opening felt cold, far colder than the weather outside. Everyone stay alert, Lewis warned. This place shouldn't exist. They moved inside slowly. The walls were smooth, carved with precise curves that no natural force could have made. As they descended, a faint hum traveled through the floor, vibrating against their boots. Alex felt the hairs on his arms lift. This was no ordinary structure. It was alive with energy. Mara touched the wall. She was here, she whispered. I can feel it. What do you mean? Alex asked. She shook her head. I don't know, but it feels familiar. They continued downward until the tunnel opened into a huge chamber. In the center of the room stood a platform covered in glowing symbols. The light was soft and shifting, like firelight underwater. Lewis stepped forward, raising his scanner. This is ancient, older than any human record. Alex walked around the platform. Each step made the symbols shift, following him like ripples. Then Mara stepped onto the platform. The entire chamber came alive. Light shot up the walls, racing in spirals. The hum grew into a deep tone that shook the floor. Everyone froze. Alex reached for Mara, but a barrier of shimmering air pushed him back. Mara stood inside the glowing circle, frozen with shock. Mara! Alex shouted. She didn't reply. Instead, an image appeared above the platform. A woman's face, kind eyes, silver hair, a soft smile. Alex's heart stopped. It was Mara's grandmother, or at least a recording of her. She began to speak. If you are seeing this, then the conflict has begun again. And you, my granddaughter, must learn the truth I could never reveal while I lived. The chamber fell silent except for her calm, echoing voice. Alex stayed frozen, staring up at the image. The truth was coming, and it would change everything. The image of Mara's grandmother hovered above the glowing platform, her voice filling the chamber with a calm that clashed with the pulsing energy around them. Everyone in the room stood frozen, unsure if moving would break the moment or trigger something far worse. Alex kept his eyes locked on Mara, who remained trapped inside the shimmering barrier of light. Her grandmother's recording continued. There are things our world has forgotten, things buried by fear, explained by half-truths, and hidden behind war. You must understand what happened before your journey can continue. and you must be strong enough to face what is coming. Mara's eyes shimmered, but she stayed still, listening. Alex wished he could reach her, touch her shoulder, tell her she was not alone. But the barrier did not allow it. The recording changed, showing a vision of the past. A younger version of Mara's grandmother walked across an open plain where dragons rested in the distance. Their massive wings folded, their eyes calm, their bodies relaxed. It looked nothing like the dragons Alex had seen in reports. Long ago, the recording said, humans and dragons were not enemies. We shared knowledge, energy, and trust. We lived together in peace. But that peace did not last. Fear, as always, destroyed what we built. The scene shifted. Flames filled the sky. Humans ran across the burning ground. Dragons roared in pain, not anger. A dark shape moved behind the fire, but the vision blurred before anyone could see details. The first war began because of a mistake, the grandmother said quietly. A misunderstanding turned into blame. That blame grew into rage. And that rage became a cycle that has lasted for centuries. Alex felt his chest tighten. It was hard to imagine dragons, creatures so powerful, ever living peacefully with humans. But the images made it clear. Something terrible had torn them apart. The next scene showed the grandmother placing her hand on the same glowing platform where Mara now stood. The light wrapped around her, forming a bond of energy between her and the dragons. I chose a different path, she said. I found the truth buried beneath the old ruins. I learned that the dragons were not our enemies. They were protectors. They guarded something important, something ancient, something that must never fall into the wrong hands. Lewis stepped forward, whispering, "Protectors? Of what?" As if answering him, the image shifted again. A strange, shimmering object appeared, an orb of swirling energy, suspended above a stone pedestal. Alex felt his pulse jump. The orb looked alive, its surface constantly shifting like liquid light. "This," the grandmother said, "is the core. It holds the memory of the world's beginning. Whoever controls it controls the balance of the planet itself." The dragons were tasked with guarding it since the earliest days. But humans, driven by fear and by the desire for power, tried to take it. The chamber dimmed, and her voice softened. "I stopped them once, but I knew I could not stop them forever. That is why I created the bond and passed it on to you, Mara." The glowing barrier around Mara flickered like a heartbeat. "You carry my mark. It is why the dragons fear you. Not because you are a threat, but because you are the only human who can unlock the core. And once unlocked, it can save the world or destroy it." The grandmother's eyes softened. "Mara, you must be careful who you trust. The second war is coming. Only you can decide whether it will end in peace or ruin." Then the image flickered. Her final words echoed through the chamber. "Find the truth. Restore the balance. Do not let fear decide the future again." The recording faded. The glowing platform dimmed. The barrier around Mara dissolved, and she stumbled forward. Alex rushed to catch her before she could fall. Her hands were cold, and her breath shook. "Are you all right?" he asked. She nodded weakly. I saw everything. I felt it." Lewis walked closer. His face was tight, his voice low. "This changes everything. If the core exists, others will come for it. And if the dragons know Mara can unlock it, they won't stop watching us." Alex helped Mara stand straight. "We need a plan." Mara looked toward the glowing platform one last time. "The plan is simple. We find the core before anyone else does. And we end this war before it begins." No one argued. They all understood the weight of her words. Together, they turned toward the exit. But as they walked, a faint rumble echoed through the chamber. Alex froze. So did everyone else. A deep, trembling growl shook the ground. Lewis whispered, "Something is here with us." The rumble grew louder. And then, from the darkness at the far end of the chamber, a shadow moved. Huge, slow, watching, a dragon. But unlike the others they had seen, this one's eyes were not filled with fear. They were filled with purpose. The dragon stepped out from the shadows with slow, heavy movements. Its scales glowed faintly, reflecting the soft blue light still fading from the walls. The chamber grew colder as the creature lowered its massive head, its eyes fixed on Mara. Alex felt his breath catch. He raised his weapon, but his hands shook slightly. He had faced danger before, but nothing like this. Nothing that carried both threat and ancient intelligence in its gaze. Lewis held up a hand to stop Alex from moving. "Stay still," he whispered. "It has not attacked yet." The dragon's eyes shifted from Mara to Alex, then back to Mara again. It made a low sound, not a roar, but a deep hum that vibrated through the air like distant thunder. Mara stepped forward before anyone could stop her. "It knows me," she said quietly. Alex reached toward her arm. "Mara, wait." She shook her head. "I felt something in the vision. My grandmother. She wasn't afraid of them. If I am supposed to end this war, I have to show trust first." Lewis moved beside Alex, tense but watching closely. "If it attacks." "It won't," Mara said softly. The dragon lowered its head even further until its snout was only a few feet from Mara. She took a slow breath and raised her hand, her fingers trembling but steadying as she reached out. When her hand touched the dragon's scales, the chamber lit up again. A pulse of energy shot through the floor, rising like a wave. Alex staggered back, shielding his eyes from the bright flash. Lewis did the same. The whole cave felt alive, humming with some invisible force. The dragon's eyes closed for a moment, then opened again, this time glowing with a golden light. Mara gasped and stumbled backward. Alex rushed to her side. "Mara, what happened?" She pressed her hand to her chest. "It showed me something. Not words, memories." "From your grandmother?" Lewis asked. "No," Mara whispered. "From the dragon itself." The dragon stepped back, giving them space. Then it lifted its head and released a long, echoing call that rolled through the chamber and out into the tunnels beyond. The sound carried meaning, though none of them understood the language. But they could feel it: urgency, warning, and a strange sense of hope. Lewis frowned. "What is it doing? Calling others?" Mara shook her head. "No, it is calling us." Alex hesitated. "Calling us where?" Mara pointed toward a crack in the far wall, one that had not been visible before. The stone had shifted during the pulse of energy, revealing a narrow passage that sloped downward. The dragon took a step toward it, then looked back at them. "It wants us to follow," Mara said. Lewis looked doubtful. "Into a tunnel we didn't know existed, guided by a dragon that appeared out of nowhere?" Alex gave a small nod. "We came here for answers. This may be the only way to get them." Mara moved forward, her voice steady. "My grandmother trusted them. And the dragons, they were protectors. If this one wanted to attack us, it would have done so already. We follow." Lewis took a slow breath, then motioned to the team. "Stay close. No sudden movements." They followed the dragon into the tunnel. The walls were smooth and curved, glowing faintly with the same symbols they had seen earlier. As they moved deeper, the air grew warmer, almost comforting. Alex stayed close to Mara. "What did it show you?" "In the memories?" She looked ahead. "A gathering. Humans and dragons standing together. Not as enemies, as allies. They guarded the core together once. But then, something changed. There was a shadow, presence. I couldn't see its shape, but I felt its power. It was wrong, and it wanted the core." Alex frowned. "A shadow? Like a creature?" "I don't know, but my grandmother tried to stop it. And now it is waking up again." Lewis overheard. "So that is why the dragons fear humans now. They think we will repeat the same mistake." Mara nodded. "Yes, and they think I have the power to stop it or release it." They reached the end of the tunnel. The passage opened into a vast underground cavern filled with glowing crystals. A soft wind moved through the space even though there was no visible source. And in the center of the cavern floated a shape, a sphere of swirling light, the same orb they had seen in the vision. The core. Alex stared in disbelief. "It's real." The dragon stepped forward and lowered its head toward the core, as if presenting it to them. Mara felt her breath catch in her throat. This is what my grandmother protected. This is what the dragons have guarded for centuries. Lewis spoke quietly. And now it is in front of you. Alex looked at her with a mixture of fear and trust. Mara, what do you need to do? She stepped forward slowly, her heart pounding. I don't know, she said, but I think the core will tell me. The cavern grew silent. The dragon watched. The team waited, and Mara reached out toward the light. Mara stepped closer to the glowing sphere, her breath steady but her heart racing. The core hovered silently, turning slowly in the air like a living star. Its soft light reflected in her eyes, shifting between blue, gold, and silver. Alex, Lewis, and the rest of the team kept their distance, unsure whether approaching would disturb the balance of the cavern. The dragon watched her closely. Its head was low, its wings folded tight, as if preparing for whatever came next. The tension in the room felt alive, like the air itself was holding its breath. Mara raised her hand toward the core. The moment her fingers came close, a warm breeze moved across her skin, gentle and steady. Felt like a greeting, a welcome. Alex whispered, Mara, be careful. She did not look back. I have to know the truth, and I have to finish what my grandmother started. The core glowed brighter as her palm touched its surface. A pulse of energy swept through the cavern, soft but powerful enough to make the others take a step back. Alex shielded his eyes. Lewis steadied himself on a nearby rock wall. The dragon stayed perfectly still. Suddenly, the world around Mara faded. The cavern blurred, swallowed by a deep light. She found herself standing in a place that felt both real and not real. A sky with no sun, a floor with no ground, a space filled with the memories of the past. A figure appeared beside her. Her grandmother. Not a recording, not a vision. Presence. Mara, her grandmother said gently, you have come farther than I ever could. I am proud of you. Mara's throat tightened. Why didn't you tell anyone the truth? Why leave all this for me to find alone? Her grandmother smiled softly. Because the world needed someone who could choose without fear. Someone who had not been shaped by old hatred. Someone who could see dragons not as enemies, but as protectors. The world shifted again. Images flashed around them. Humans trying to claim the core for themselves. Dragons fighting to protect it. The shadow Mara had seen before. The dark force that twisted everything. What is that? Mara asked. A being older than dragons or humans, her grandmother said. A creature that feeds on imbalance. It desires the core because it can reshape the world to its liking. It nearly succeeded once. And it is waking again. She looked into Mara's eyes. You can stop it, but you must decide what the core becomes. A weapon or a bond. Mara felt a weight settle in her chest. What did you choose? Her grandmother sighed. I chose to hide it, but hiding is no longer enough. You must do what I could not. Save both our worlds. The light around them grew brighter. Her grandmother's form began to fade. How do I make the right choice? Mara whispered. Trust your heart, she said softly, and trust those who walk beside you. The light burst, and the cavern returned. Mara stood in front of the core again, her hand still touching it. Alex rushed to her side. Mara, are you okay? What happened? She nodded slowly. I know what to do. The dragon raised its head, watching her closely. The core glowed brighter, responding to Mara's steady breath and calm heartbeat. She placed both hands on the sphere. The cavern filled with light. The walls vibrated. The ground trembled. Symbols along the stone flared to life. Alex grabbed Lewis to steady him. The team crouched behind rocks. But Mara stood firm. She spoke softly, as if speaking to the core itself. No more fear. No more war. The light exploded outward, forming a wave of warm energy that spread through the cavern and beyond. The dragon roared, not in anger, but in triumph. The roar echoed through every tunnel and out into the open world. When the light finally faded, The core floated quietly again, dimmer than before but peaceful. Mara stepped back, exhausted but steady. Alex caught her before she stumbled. "What did you do?" She breathed slowly. "I chose balance. I chose unity. Humans cannot control the core. Dragons cannot control it alone. Now, it belongs to all of us." Lewis stared at the core, speechless. "Will it stop the war?" Mara looked at the dragon. The great creature lowered its head to her in a slow, graceful bow. "Yes," she said softly. "It has already begun." The dragon lifted its wings and released a deep call that shook the air. Moments later, other calls answered from distant tunnels. Dozens of dragons. Hundreds. Alex whispered, "They're not coming to attack. They're coming to honor you." Mara smiled faintly. "Not me. My grandmother. And the trust she left behind." As the cavern filled with the sound of dragons gathering, Alex helped her stand tall. The team watched in awe, surrounded by creatures once feared and misunderstood. The balance had been restored. A new future was beginning, and Mara stood at the center of it.